started. Hey everyone, welcome to
Ooh.
Playbooks. I'm Sarita Dua from Portland, Oregon, along with my co-host Via Williams from up in Seattle, and we are so pleased to have you here every week. We
Every other
bring,
week, Sarita. It's
sorry, I'm
actually
sorry,
twice a month.
sorry, it's habit. So
I
every
know.
first and third
Yep.
Wednesday of the month, we bring you a Power Playbook webinar where we interview rock stars who are so generous with their time and talents and share exactly what's working in their business. And we have a special guest for you today. And I'm going to turn it over to Via so she can introduce Say.
Yeah, well, hey everybody. It is really good to see you again. For those of you who used to go to my weekly webinars that I did for 2 or 3 years, you will recognize Seychelle Van Poole. Well, you probably recognize her anyway, because I think she's a celebrity in our industry. But boy, I am such a data nerd, right? I must have
Yeah.
on at least every 6 months, right?
hmm
A couple times a year. And so I asked you to come back and you said yes.
Of
Um,
course.
because wait till you guys see, it's going to inspire you and also kick your butt a little bit. Like, I'm not going to lie. It's going to be one of those webinars where you're going to kind of feel, you might feel a little bit bad about yourself. Like, oh, that is so good. And I can, I haven't done it. But the good news is that you can start tomorrow or today and do it.
hmm
And you can do it
Absolutely.
too. Yeah, because it's amazing what she's done the last, I think we figured it was 8 to 9 years.
Yeah.
8 to 9
But
years. Okay.
and full fairness, like I'm gonna just be like full transparency here, you guys. I had to like take remedial math my first year in college. So if you're intimidated by the numbers, I just want to let you know right now, like we have an MIT MBA and someone who
Yeah,
took
that's really
Harvard accounting
relatable,
classes
Sarita.
on here. And then I literally took remedial math my first year in college. So if I can do this, you can do this too. So I just want you to know that.
Okay, I can beat you, Seychelle, I can beat you. I got a Bachelor of Arts, like I have a degree,
Yeah.
right? Without taking one math class. I learned that you could take either math or science for those credits, and I
Yeah.
did the whole thing in science, not one math class in college. That is how I
Okay,
feel.
that's very impressive. In order to graduate with advertising, you had to take all the media classes.
Oh,
So I had to do, but I liked, like, if I could apply the math to something practical, and it gave me data to do something with, I was all in. But just a formula for a formula, like I was not great with. So what I love about today is we're not doing math for math's sake. What we're going to be looking at is data to get more business, data to better serve your clients, data to what was the word we used earlier? So you're not a
I'm a real
floozy at
estate
the happy
expert.
hours. You're going to be a real estate expert and not a floozy at happy hours. You're
Oh,
going to
not
be a
a
real estate
floozy.
expert.
It was
That was the
floozy.
word we were talking about earlier. Was
Floozy was
floozy.
the word.
Don't be a real estate floozy. You are a real estate expert, people.
Yeah.
And so we're going to go through how to really know what you want to look for and be really targeted and specific with it to drive more business and to drive better conversions and to better educate your clients so they can make better decisions for themselves,
Yep,
which
that's right.
that's fun. That for me is fun.
So, Seychelle, let's start with, I think that it'd be good to set the context. Let everybody know, what your team looks like, where you're from, and maybe kind of set the stage with a little bit of your track record, if you will, so that
Yeah.
they can understand walking in that, you know your stuff and have credibility behind this, and you're still very much a working team operator and
Yes.
agent and all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, this is actually my 20th year in real estate this year. June will be my 20th anniversary. So
Even though you look 20.
I started when I was 12. And I started in my early 20s. And I got in real estate, actually joined my mom in business. And she's been my business partner for a long time. But I joined her as a buyer's agent in 2004 after working in advertising. And for several years from '04 to '07, I was a buyer's agent and I worked with all the buyers. And I sat right behind Barb, AKA my mom, in the same office, handling all the buyers, but really listening in on all of her conversations. And in '07, we had a family situation happened. And overnight, I went from a buyer's agent to running our team and being our listing agent, which also happened to be the same month our market crashed and I put our first flip on the market. So it was a super fun time to become a listing agent because I had been beat to a pulp as a buyer's agent for 3 years. And then got to do the same thing again as the listing agent, taking short sales and all sorts of fun things.
Well, good agents are made in bad markets.
They are. When I honestly, I didn't know any better. I was like, this just must be normal. So then
Ignorance is bliss. It really is.
It was. I was like, this just must be normal. It was really hard on the buy side. It's really hard on the sales side, like on the seller side, I guess. It's just real estate. And so then really it wasn't until like 2012, so almost 8 years in for me, when I was like, oh, this is what people talk about, easier markets. And during the downturn, Gary Keller would always say to us, like, you need to be tracking your numbers on a weekly basis. You need to be tracking your numbers on a weekly basis. And I was sort of like, in my head, I made it really difficult. And I was like, yeah, that sounds like a lot of work. Okay, that's fine. Like, I know what I'm doing. I was a good agent. Like, we've sold now, like, I don't know, close to 3,400 houses. Like, I'm a good agent. It's fine. And then we kind of came out of the bottom of the market back up. And I started to have panic moments where it was like, oh, usually these market cycles go in 5 to 7 year runs. And so I started panicking of like, I want to know when the market turns again. I want to know. And if I'm not looking at this on a weekly basis, how am I going to know when the market changes? And so we started tracking our numbers literally, I think it was like the second or third week of January. So don't wait for like a new year to start to do it. Just start whenever you start. And I'm happy, like Vija, you and I usually share like a copy of the spreadsheet we use. You're welcome to take our spreadsheet and copy it and rip it off and make it your own.
Yeah, you can email us and we'll send it to you here.
Yeah, I'll just, if y'all will make a note for me to do that, I'll send you a copy
Power
of it.
Playbooks at place.com, and then we'll
okay, cool. Thank you. I will put that together. And we started tracking our numbers. And you know what's really cool is I can tell you that, like, because we've tracked our numbers via, we have sellers, like I can actually tell you, like, a seller we've made in the last 6 months, we made them $75,000 because of when we timed the market. I can tell you another one, like right before COVID, that we made them $150,000 because we were watching the market for them, because the exact same home sold 2 months later. Like, we can literally, I can say, this is exactly how much money you made, because if you had waited to sell when you wanted to sell versus when we started talking to you about this and pushing on you, this is how much money you would have lost. Like, that is what data can do, is it can literally give you the tools and information to be as close to a crystal ball creator as you possibly can get, right? Are you going to be 100% of the time? No, but it gives you a really good educated guess.
I love that. You know, and we're going to get into this, and you're going to share your screen and walk us through.
Yeah.
Before we get there, though, because you said something interesting that I just love to drill on before we get there, and that is, you know, how do we use data? Like we talked about why it's important. It's important because it gives you credibility, gives you some predictability. It gives you a way to answer clients that sounds really badass, meaning, you know, when should I sell my home? I don't know. Feels good now. Or, well, let's take a look at the numbers. What we know is that when the market does X, Y happens. So that would indicate the next 90 days are a really good window for you because of X, Y, Z. Of course, we can't predict, but that's a way different answer, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And we can literally pull up historical data then and say, history has shown us this. Seasonality has shown us this. The economy has shown us this. And to me, if someone is walking in going, well, I mean, spring has always been a good time to sell, versus let's look at the data and show you what the data is showing you, I can tell you what conversion rates look like on those two conversations, right? I'm way more likely to go with someone who's educating me to make smart decisions based on data than a feel and a gut and an emotion when it comes to money and timing decisions like that. But you're right. I do think it also just makes you incredibly credible. It makes you the economist of choice. And it elevates your clientele. Your price point will go up when you can have different numbers conversations. It literally, your price point goes up because you're running in a different crowd that wants that data.
But we don't, I guess where I was going with this, perfect, love that, is where do we use this? Because
Mhm.
we don't want to be a secret data agent, right? We want
Yeah.
everybody to know that we know the data. So what are some uses of it? When we talked about conversations with clients, we talked
Well,
about
so let's just go, yeah, practically
what
through
kind
it.
of
So
things
the
would we use this
the
in?
first thing, the first thing I'm going to use it for is when I am lead generating,
Hmm.
right? And I'm talking to whether it's past clients or my database or agent to agent referrals or canceled FISBOs expired, right? Like data immediately helps to convert to appointments. So that's number one, right? You have to build rapport and trust. You can't just rely on data or they're not going to listen to you. So you got to build rapport and trust and use the data to help you convert for an appointment. The second thing is at your appointments, it helps you close to sign the client. Okay. It helps you literally convert more signed business. The third place then is servicing the client. When days on market start going up for sellers or buyers aren't winning for buyers, data helps you give them the tools and information to actually win the contract. Okay, so those are huge. And then it also helps you in marketing, right? If I can tell you that sellers with us on average make 3.5% more than our agents in our area, thus making you $17,500 more for your home, that's that's tangible. That helps me market and convert then to repeat the cycle again. So already right there, that's easy. Like to kind of tie the loop on where you can use data from beginning to end in the appointments. But then also I think about it on social, right? Like we love to do home buyer and home seller seminars. We love to be the economist of choice with our like allied resources, whether it's stockbrokers or insurance people or like our regional chamber of commerce. So it's really nice to be able to kind of connect over that data and what's happening in your local market. It also helps like convert relocation clients too. And then I think when you're marketing, that's immediate content you can put out there that you can factor into your marketing schedule. You can use it for your social media. You can use it for your email campaigns and your direct marketing campaigns as well. And then the last part is like classes and presentations. I love like what I'm doing today is like a labor of love for me because I want to educate our real estate population to better use data to get more clients. That for me is really fun. And so using it to give back and give value through classes and presentations. And also I get to see two of my besties, Vija and Sarita. So that's awesome for me today too. But
Awesome for
we get
us.
to share and get back and let y'all grow. And when you win, and are winning more clients with data, that for me is really fun and exciting because you're using it to grow your wealth. And that's awesome. That's one of my favorite parts about it.
I love
So
that. Love that.
a quick observation is that you can be great at numbers and choose to be focused and get even better, or you can be absolutely clueless and say, "Hey, I want to start today." One thing I love about your story is you were a buyer's agent when it was tough and became a listing agent when it was tough, and you kind of woke up and said, "Hey, I don't actually ever want to be caught flat-footed again. I
Yeah.
want to kind of see the weather forecast, see kind of what direction
Yes.
we're going before we get there." And that's what the
Yes.
numbers do. So no matter if anyone's listening here is somewhat intimidated, like, oh my gosh, this is not my thing. How do I do this? You just start somewhere, and the actual knowledge that you're going to just lay down in terms of the trends and all the historical data, it's just so powerful. So I just wanted to kind of emphasize that like you woke
Yeah.
up and said, I'm going to do it. You weren't the
Yeah.
number expert, and
No.
anyone can do this no matter
No.
what. Not too
I
late.
wasn't, and you can start with one piece of what we're going to talk about too is like where do you start, right? Like we'll start with one subset of data at a time, and then over time, as we've mastered that one like subset of data, then we go to the next, and then you go to the next. Like I think it's just like anything you learn to crawl, then walk, then run. It's the same thing when we're looking at numbers, and so for me, I wanted to start with our market inventory and we'll dive into how we started with that because I did not want to put a flip on the market and change my role and take over another business the same time our market crashed again. That was, although it was like, I learned a lot. Like, I also, if I had been tracking the data, I would have seen it coming. and I could have been so much more prepared. And if I could tell you that by tracking a couple of key numbers, you will know when your market is turning 60 to 90 days before the newspapers know your market is turning. How nice would it be to have 60 to 90 days to prepare before any of your competition even knows it's happening? And we've had that happen now 4 times in our market that I can specifically tell you we knew it was changing before anybody else was talking about it.
That is one of the
That
most
is cool
compelling arguments for this that I could even imagine.
Yeah. If I could have 90 days of cheat time to fail and figure some stuff out before other people figure it out, I'm in on that. Like, think about how much money that would save you. Think about how much heartache that save you. So
Awesome.
it's that alone is a huge help.
So you're going to walk us through, you're going to share your screen and kind of walk us through what it is you do and how you do it. Cool.
I will. Okay. Let me pull up my screen here for you. Okay. So the first thing we started tracking, y'all, this is on a Google spreadsheet. So I'm going to pull up and share my screen here. And you can literally see the day I woke up and decided to start track numbers was January 18th, 2015, because it was not the beginning of a year. It was just a Monday. So literally,
one thing we should say really quick on this, just sorry to interrupt, but what's important for everybody to know is that weekly data rolls up into cumulative monthly data. So unless you capture weekly data in real time, you won't get it.
And you can't go back and search it. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So like what I wanted to know is if you look at like your MLS, sold data tells you what? Sold data tells you what a buyer was willing to do 30 days ago, 60 days ago.
Yeah, it's lagging data.
It's a lagging indicator because a home goes under contract, has inspections, appraisals, then finally closes out. So if I had a closing today, which we had a closing today, that really tells me what a buyer was willing to do at the beginning of January or even in December.
Yeah.
But that doesn't tell me what's happening today in our market. Okay. Yeah. So that's number one. Number two is active data tells us what's available out there for buyers today, right? It's inventory. It's a story of how many homes the buyer gets to choose from, but it's also a leading indicator because if it starts to get absorbed or it starts to grow, and we'll take a look at this here in just a second, you can see what's happening in your market by looking at active data first. Okay. So literally it was a Monday. I woke up and decided to start tracking. I decided to start tracking it along the same lines as the NASDAQ weeks go, which is a Monday to Monday cycle, because it was just easy for me to be able to copy and paste their calendar every year. It was a lazy hack, right? So we run on the NASDAQ calendar because that was just easier for me to track. Okay. The second thing is once we started to get this going, guess who doesn't love doing things every single day at the same time, all the time?
Me, Sarita,
that is me. That is me. All three of us, right? All three of us. So as soon as I got this template up and I started to figure out a saved search in our MLS, I want you to create a saved search big enough to get sample data. If you just pull your neighborhood, it might be too micro for you to be able to see the bigger trends. So for us, I live in Dallas-Fort Worth. We have 7 million people here. We're the size of the state of Connecticut. I do our North Texas MLS and I save the search. So it's like close to 6 million people is what this data subset represents. If you're in an MLS with a larger area, I'd say at least, 50,000 or more people. That's kind of the size you want to get. If you're in a little town, try to give yourself a couple counties because you're trying to get big enough data sets that if it's like a blip of there's just nothing available, that's not an economic trend. That's just a very small market that you're looking at. So give yourself a big enough data pool. So I literally started tracking mid-January 2015 because I didn't want to get caught flat-footed again. And we've been tracking this data every single week since then. And we have our virtual assistant named Romeo and Erica, our listing manager, oversee this now, okay? Because they love systems. They're incredibly good at it. And they make sure it happens every morning on Monday at 9 a.m. Okay, so they just set an alarm, it goes off, they go in and put the data in. It takes 2 minutes. Okay, so that's how it works. And you can even see Romeo was sick one week and we didn't have a backup plan somewhere in here. And we have a 1 week that got missed, which was a huge bummer. But that's a great lesson on, like, sometimes we have systems without a backup plan. So here's what I want to show you. So let's go to 2020 and 2019. Okay. When I started looking at our data in 2015, we can see we had, yeah, you can see here's one of my systems still weren't great, right? Seychelle's like, oh no, I need an admin to help me really track this. Okay. So like the sooner you can get a system and hand it to somebody talented that loves systems, the better you're going to be. So I'll hopefully save you some time there. But when we started tracking this, we had 12,000 homes on the market in our Metroplex. Okay. And each week we had about 1,500 homes, 1,500 homes selling at any given time. Okay. So if we were to take that, basically 4,500 homes divided by 12, right? If you take a month's worth of sales, that's your absorption rate right there. So if we had 12,000 homes on the market, and let's just say 4,000 homes selling a month, that's about 3 months worth of inventory is what we had. Does that math make sense? So that's an easy way right there to use the data to figure out your absorption rate. But more importantly, I like to use this data because it tells us what the market is doing. So in 2019, we were getting up there in our numbers, okay? You can see here in 2019, we were getting up like 25,000 homes. I was like, oh man, we're headed towards a shift. We're really headed towards a shift. We're really growing, and our absorption rate was not growing as high as our inventory was growing. You can see it getting up to 24,000 homes. That's a lot of inventory for our DFW market, the highest I have ever seen it. So I'm prepping our team, and then what happens? COVID happens, right? So COVID happens, and COVID hits right around February 16th. That's about when COVID happens. And all of a sudden, like, the world stops, right? Everything gets a little crazy. And in Texas, we were in shelter in place until the first week of May, right here. Okay. My team asked me this the other day. They said, if interest rates were to drop like crazy, if the Fed at last week's meeting was going to drop interest rates like crazy and buyers start going nuts again, what's our market going to look like? Okay. We can kind of compare this to what happened when shelter in place came out of COVID. And let's take a look at what happens. We're sitting at 19,500 homes, which is the highest amount of inventory we had that year. And look at how low it gets with the wheels coming off of our market over that year. So in 6 months, look at our inventory drop.
It's nuts.
It keeps going down, 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 down. So we were up at 19,000 homes.
Oh.
And by the end of the year, we had cut our inventory in half.
Wow.
Okay. How do you think that helps the buyer understand why there's multiple offers? Right? Vija, I know it feels really painful that there's 9 offers on this home right now, but for 6 million people, there are 8,200 homes to choose from right now. Like, we have 1,000 people moving to Dallas-Fort Worth every 2 weeks. That's like, they're absorbing that in addition to just anyone wanting to move here, right?
The conversation to say to a prospect, to be able to say, by the way, buyer or seller, we have had up to 25,000 homes on the market at one time, to give you context, is really massive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we're all looking at seeing the 5,500 up to the 16. We're all thinking the same thing. That's crazy nuts.
Yeah. And so this drops and keeps dropping, right? And it's continuing to drop, right? But really, our inventory cut in half by the end of 2020, and it basically almost cut in half again, leading it to the beginning of 2022. We bottomed out at 4,500 homes on the market. That's also right about when the Fed started raising interest rates. We were at 4,400 homes for 6 million people. Every pile of dirt was getting 40 offers on it with 4,400 homes available, right? And look at the contracts, because we tracked contracts that week. What week was that? That was February 20th, 2022. Look at February 20th, 2022. 3,300 contracts were written a week. So we had 1 week's worth of inventory. We were literally selling through every single home on the market in like 10 days.
Yeah.
Is that crazy? Like that helps your buyer know if you need to move right now and interest rates are really amazing. We're literally selling through every home in MLS in 10 days. Good news is there will be more homes in 10 days from now, but you're still going to compete the same way because there are 3,300 people wanting to buy 4,400 homes right now. That's crazy, right? That's so crazy. That allows them, though, not to feel emotional about it, but to understand the numbers and to make educated decisions. But here's what's interesting. So the interest rate started going up, and I told our team, I said, you watch, we're going to start having homes sitting on the market, sellers freaking out because homes are sitting on the market and they're not selling, their house isn't sold with multiple offers in one day, right? We're not selling through our inventory in 10 days as interest rates go up. So they went up February 20th. They also went up right before Mother's Day in May. Look at this. We had 4,400 homes. By May, we had almost doubled our inventory already. Okay. That is a story to talk to your seller about, right? Inventory is going up. You want to maximize multiple offers? You get on the market right now, like right now. If you need to sell,
and if you're a buyer who wants to win, if you're a buyer who wants to win, you don't have to be the agent that says, oh, how much over asking do you want to be? You just show them the numbers, show them their competition.
Yep.
Show them how many are successful.
Yep.
Amazing.
That's exactly right. And then you watch it. Look at this. By the end of the year, we doubled again. So we 4x'd our inventory in less than a year.
Isn't that crazy?
Back to 2019 numbers by August. And you know what we had sellers saying was, I'm going to wait until the fall to hit the market. And do you know what we were doing in May when we hit 10,000 homes? Blowing up the phones going, if you want to sell this year, you need to be on the market right now. Right now. You cannot wait because prices are going to start softening. Inventory is going to go up and buyers are going to start saying, I'm going to wait. I'm just going to wait.
Which was absolutely spot on correct.
Yep. We had a seller in this time frame right here hit the market. We made them $75,000 because the same home they hit at the end of May right here. We couldn't quite get them on. I think we started calling them in April. We finally convinced them. They were like, no, we don't want to sell till after the summer. I was like, that's cute. If money's important, we have to go. Otherwise, it's fine. If you want to lose money, that's totally cool. But if money is your thing, like, it's not always. It can be time, it can be money, it can be hassle. But if you've told us money's your thing, I'm crazy not to be calling you. So we finally got them on the market. This week we hit 10,000 homes, the same listing, same neighborhood, same floor plan, hit the market in August, sold for $75,000 less, and sat on the market for 3 months.
Yeah.
So it's a tangible, like, don't be the seller that waited unless you're okay with it, right? If you're okay with it, that's fine. But if you're not, you need to get on the market. Okay. Yeah. But that allows you then to have productive conversations. How much value would I bring to the two of you if I said, Vija, I know you said you wanted to wait till kids are in school to move, but I know you also need the money out of this house to buy your next home. I am seeing the market literally moving in front of our eyes. Inventory is rising and we're seeing prices soften. And I had to pick up the phone and let you know.
Yeah.
If you want to wait, that's fine, but you will probably sell for less if you wait. How much? We won't know till we try it out, but it's going to be less.
Yeah, that's great.
At least then you can make the decision, right? At least it's your decision to make, right? But by tracking this data, what's awesome about it is that you're then allowed to see like what's happening. And what's really interesting is so our market took 6 months basically to contract our inventory, basically to almost absorb all of it. But when the interest rates started going back up, it took us 18 months to get back to normalcy. So it took us right here to kind of like start stabilizing again. We're finally kind of like a little bit more stable starting right about, I think it was like October. We finally hit 20 and that was about stable for our market.
Yeah.
Took us until October, but that was from then February of 2022 until October of 23 to stabilize our market, almost 18 months.
What's interesting to me, so active and contract, and I guess to a certain degree expired, withdrawn, canceled, those are leading indicators, right?
Those are leading indicators, right?
It is so valuable to have weekly because what I've been talking to people about lately is that anecdotally, January's telling me that most markets I'm talking to, the market's picking up again. And they
Yeah.
say, what do you mean? And I say, well, because I talk to a lot of teams around the US and locally, and multiple offers are happening again. Buyers are back, right? But that's not statistical. That's just anecdotal.
Mm-hmm.
That's the it feels like it conversation.
Mm-hmm.
What you have done is taken that, it feels like the market's coming back because I'm seeing signs to, well, here's the data. Because when you go to contract, contract is the true actives, new and actives and contracts are the true leading
Yep.
indicators, right?
Yep. Yep. That's exactly right. And so our news media didn't start picking up on the market shifting in our market until July. It was the end of July, end of Q2 is when they started picking up on our market in DFW in 2023, really starting to kind of like fully soften and transition. And look at what our expires did that week.
Yeah, interesting.
You could see it pop up,
Mm,
right? Which is pretty interesting.
interesting.
And so, for us, like you're always going to have expireds, but like if I don't know, if I was a betting person and I was going after business right now, expireds would be a lot easier to convert now than they were like 2 years ago.
Yeah, for sure.
When you're selling through one weeks of the entire market at a time, like now that we have inventory, right? Like we're actually selling through it a little bit longer. It's allowing us a little bit more of a pace to be able to do that.
Seychelle, do
So
you ever take that data and create charts from it and publish that to put social media or email it?
mm-hmm. Yeah, let me show you a couple of different ways we use it. So this is an older one, but we need to get it updated because it reminded me that I like it and I want to use it again. But we basically created this chart for our home seller and home buyer seminars. And this shows under contract comparisons from 2019 to 2020. So you can see very visually what that looks like. But I like this to be able to show for, as you were talking about, active, under contract, and sold, right?
Mhm.
Like I really like to see those three. And this is a very visual way to use it with your presentations. On buyer consults, this comes out of, I think this is out of your
Trend
MLS.
graphics. That's trend
Yeah.
graphics. Yeah.
This is trend graphics. This is your MLS that shows it as
It's so
well.
easy to plug this data, side note,
Yeah.
to Excel or Google Sheet and create a graph just like that. I mean, it's so easy once you have the data to do that.
Yeah, and like ours at the bottom of all of our graphs, I think have it. Let me see. Yeah, like we have it down here.
Look at that.
It just has it as a graph so you can see it,
Yeah.
right? Which is kind of cool.
That to me, that's really powerful. Wow.
I have a loaded question for you. While one can get excited and kind of over track and not want to sort of track every single thing, there's certain things obviously that for example, you talked about the COVID piece and the window and how that affected the numbers. We know that the rates were a big part of what happened in late 22.
Yeah.
The question becomes, do you track, like, have you thought of like adding anything more to your tracking, or is that kind of your secret sauce, which is, hey, like I still need to tell the story and explain to them that there's reasons why we're seeing what we're seeing?
I think a couple of things. When I first started looking at numbers, we had a really smart lender who'd been in business a lot longer than I had. And I would take this data to him and we would sit down, and like our team leader at our market center too, like the three of us would kind of sit down and parse out the data and practice talking through it together, because I didn't know what I didn't know, but I knew I needed to start looking at it. And then what I would start doing is like, I think the Fed tracks three numbers that dictate the Fed. It's the inflation, right? Or affordability. It is the interest rate, and it's employment. What does real estate track to watch our market? It's the same three things. it is the interest rate. It is the employment, right? If you're losing employment, like half the state of California is moving to Texas. We sent them all there in the 90s and now they're all moving back.
They're all coming back.
All coming back. I'm like, you guys all left in 92 and now you are all coming back. Like employment, right? We have a really strong job market. So I feel more bullish with our real estate market here in North Texas than I would have when we had Bank of America and Countrywide and Merrill Lynch, all with headquarters here, and American Airlines and Southwest Airlines, all losing jobs in 2006. All of them like consolidating, right? And having problems. Like we're very bullish on our market here because we are adding more and more and more Fortune 500 headquarters in addition to other markets, right? So we're tracking interest rates, we're tracking employment. The one I'm a little worried about in North Texas is affordability.
Yeah.
Because Texas has higher property taxes. So I'm a little worried about our affordability might get a little bit out of control. And what worried me about that was when we were sitting at 4,400 homes and we had, our whole inventory being sold through in 10 days, a first-time home buyer in our market could not win to save their life. Last year, go ahead.
Did not mean to interrupt you. I apologize.
No, go ahead.
Keep going. That was good.
Like last year, because the market contracted some and because our inventory went higher, our average price point for our team dipped by 50,000 because our first-time home buyers could finally win again. How awesome was that? I was like, this is a good problem. It's okay that our average price point's dropping because our first-time home buyers are winning again for the first time in like 2 years. How awesome is that? But you have to know your data to know that that's even an option for them, or that's even an opportunity.
It's such a good point. Somebody who's winning at times, and the data.
Someone's always going to win. Someone's always going to win. You just need to know who.
Yeah.
You can track affordability index if you want. It's available in every city. There's different sources that track it. But I just wanted to say, when I was saying side note, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to interrupt.
No, you're great.
It is really important, and I can't stress enough, and I'm so glad, Sarita, that you asked that question. Do not overtrack. Choose, what was that, 4 or 5 things. That was it.
That was it. That's all I started.
Extrapolate stuff out of that. You can get ratios out of that. There's a lot of sub data and formulas you can get out of that. Don't get lost in this. It's like 5 things. That's it. And the only reason to track weekly is, like we said earlier, because I cannot stress this enough, and some of you have come on. Weekly data rolls up into cumulative monthly data. And here's a thought for you. If you're playing catch up and you want to start, you can get monthly data. You can get that on your MLS. You could have an admin or a VA or someone certainly go back 10 years in your market and at least have monthly, but then you could start weekly this week. You know what I mean? Like, so at least you can go year over year. What's powerful is this time next year, all 3 of us could be sitting here. And the magic is on that 12 months and 1 week mark where you finally have year over year data. That's when the magic happens. It only takes a year for you to become a massive expert. You only need 1 year, you know?
Yeah. And if you have any sort of leverage or any sort of a virtual assistant, this is something they can pull for you. Just make sure it's every day, same time. And I know Nisi was asking, I'm in the DC area. Should I track the entire DC, Maryland, Virginia area or my county? I think it's going to be, what do you feel like it's going to give you? You might have multiple states in there. So maybe you pick like the part of the state you're in. Cause I know sometimes you have to be part of multiple MLSs. I wouldn't overcomplicate it. I think you just need a big enough population subset that you can see trends. Because like my neighborhood has like 300 homes in it technically, right? Like if I'm tracking that, I don't know that that's going to give me enough data to like see trends. Because if my next door neighbor decides not to relocate, then that's 1 out of 300. Like it's this very small subset. But I think if you've got, 50, 100,000, if you want to go up to 1 million people, you can. It's just a matter of how big you want your data, and just pick it and stick with it. Like keep it the same. Don't keep changing it, or your data won't be reliable.
Yeah, and I was going to also say, I love that answer. Nisi and all of you, because DC is like, I'm in Seattle, Sarita's in
Yeah,
Portland. We're all in big markets.
yeah,
I think what's important is your own market area. So for me,
yeah,
it's about two, arguably three counties, and that's it. I have a
yeah.
massive population in this, I mean, not as
That's
big as,
perfect.
but
Yeah.
but what is interesting and what I do use on Trend Graphics for what it's worth, I don't know that I would do it weekly, but I'll just say it. I like to know if my sub-market area is underperforming or outperforming the greater market. So my Northwest
Hmm.
MLS is the whole state. And to me, I will often run reports. Now I don't track it. I just run the data from Trend
Yeah.
Graphics from my MLS. I am often interested, like, is King County, are we doing better than the norm or worse? And I
Love
will
that.
tell you, after COVID, it was worse because everyone was
Yeah.
moving out. Now I actually haven't checked it lately. So
Probably
I just wanted to
stabilized.
throw
Yeah.
that out there. Comparisons.
That's it. I love that. And like, we're in our MLS is North Texas, like, Netris, and we can go in and pull those trends. Via's making such a good point because once a home goes active and then it goes under contract and then it goes pending and then it goes sold, you can always go back and track the sold data, but you can't go see when it went active, how many homes were active at that time. That's why we have the separate spreadsheet. It's not that I'm like trying to go recreate the wheel, and like individualization is a strong strength of mine, but this is not a need to recreate the wheel. This is because I couldn't go back and track it. I like couldn't go back and see it if I wanted to. So I wanted to start tracking it because I couldn't go back and pull it retroactively if I didn't catch it when it hit. So that active and contract are the two that I can't go back and pull retroactively.
Yeah.
Which is why I would start with those. And then you can grow from there. A couple of things like lately, as far as other data, are you okay if we spin to other data for a second that might be helpful? So, and I will send you, I will literally clear out our Texas like data and I will send you the spreadsheet of what
I'll
I
send it
have
to you
so that
guys,
if you
just
want to
email me.
track it, you'll have this year already filled out and then you just copy it for next year. On there's the clear cooperation lawsuit that's all over the country right now. One thing I take with me to my listing appointments is I go pull like a half mile or mile radius around the listing appointment I'm going on and take a look at what everybody's offering as far as buyer compensation goes. And I write it on or run a report, right, that shows all those listings, what they sold for and what they were offering, and then let the seller can choose. Right. But then it's not I feel that you should offer, or I would like to offer, but it's the data is showing us that this is the going rate in your area right now. And they are selling for X percentage of list price at these different rates. I'm sure there's other factors to it, but that could be a part of it. So it's your choice as to what you want to offer, right? That's
Seychelle, I have done
data
that
to help.
for years. Transparent data. That's how I make their
It's so good.
data.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Well, and Seychelle,
You were way ahead.
a great analogy is going into a listing appointment where you're trying to price a home. You can go, well, it feels like, or this number feels too high, or the window is that, or you show them all the comps. I never cherry pick. I just show them all the comps.
Yeah.
Here's the data. Here's the average. Here's the list
Yeah.
to sales price ratio. Here's days on market. You pick. And by showing them data and then being very clear and specific,
Yes.
that's where the confidence comes from. And that's why they choose us, right? It's way better than it feels like. And it's the same thing that you're with all your data, not just, but that's a great place where we use data to get credibility.
100%. And you can also this is what I'm going to show you too. Like this is straight out of like our seller servicing book because like days on market. These are. I'm going to blow this up so you can see it a little bit bigger here. But like these are screenshots from let's see, can y'all see that?
Mm-hmm.
Great.
So these are screenshots from our actual like seller servicing where I can go into our MLS and see, you can reverse prospect in your MLS. So I can see how many searches are set up. I can see how many people have favorited your home. I can see how many active homes are on the market right now and how many total showings you have had. I can show them how many showings they've had in the last 4 days and Sarita and I are lamenting this right now because one of the showing companies, who shall remain nameless, stopped allowing their showing statistics yesterday, which makes me very angry. So I have a bone to pick with them, and I've sent in a note. But I could, up until yesterday, go in and see how many showings in the zip code those listings were getting and what percentage my seller was getting of them. Okay. But that is an example of, even if I don't have that data, it's still really powerful to see the rest of it. And you could take it one step further, which is like the same seller, right? Like we could go in and say the homes that are going under contract are listed at X. Everything above that right now is not going under contract. Everything below it seems to be getting offers. You're priced this much above it right now. If you want to be where the buyers are looking, this is where the homes seem to be going under contract right now, and you're sitting at 50,000 above them, 25,000 above them. Do you want to be in the window where buyers are looking or not? Right. But it gives you the opportunity to give them an educated decision instead of just guessing, right? Or, oh, we've been on the market this long, so you need to drop your price. Mm-hmm. Well, if I can go in and see where the homes are moving, that's a much more educated conversation. And the company that was giving the showing stats was Showing Time. If anybody has a higher up connect at Broker Bay, which is what our MLS is moving over to, I would love it if you could send me their contact information, because I'm happy to help work with them to get the reports done. But I would really love it because I want that data back, because we helped create it the first time this all happened, and I would love to help create it again so that everybody has access to it. So I did some stalking. I found the CEO, but I would like to find some other people as Broker Bay. You know that.
Some of the questions that are coming up, Seychelle, like I'm just going to amalgamate them into one question. I think you know, the amalgamation would be kind of like, okay, but seriously, how do I get started? And I just wanted to say, you mentioned something earlier that I would love to kind of reiterate again. Can you share? Do you say you set up a search, a saved search?
Just set up a saved search. Yeah.
Okay. Can you walk through that a little bit?
Yes. So in MLS, it allows you to go and do a search. Hang on, let me see.
You on Matrix?
Yeah, I'm in Matrix. So we went up and did a saved search. Hang on, let me see here.
Just know we all have different MLSs in Oregon.
We do.
And I have a homegrown one, our MLS. It's any MLS will allow you to do this. We just can't give you exact directions for your MLS, but conceptually you should be able to do this with anyone.
Yeah. So what we do is our team created a market watch for a geographic area and saved it. Okay. And then on Monday morning at 9 a.m., they go and click down to the 7-day search for us in North Texas. So Dallas, Fort Worth. They click the 7 days, and then this data right here gets put into a spreadsheet. That's it. That's as complicated as it gets right there. But same day, same time, same search, one time a week. And literally, y'all saw that. That takes what, like a minute and a half? But you have to be willing to do like an alarm or something to remember to do it, or you're going to have a couple of gaps in your spreadsheet like you saw in mine. So that's why I love having an amazing administrative person do it, because their brain naturally already flows to following systems and processes and procedures. And my entrepreneurial brain doesn't always do that as well. So we set it up and I delegated it as quick as possible, which is awesome. But that's as simple as it needs to be. It does not need to be more complicated than that. I put it in a Google Sheet so I could share access. So then our team could use it to pull data from for appointments. But that is as complicated as it needs to be. And just start there. And you know what? If you don't have time to search all of it and you just want to create an active contract and sold tab, I think that's what we started with. And then a year later, I was like, I want to know about expireds. And then a year later, then we started adding other tabs. But like on all of those tabs, I don't have 8 years worth of data. I've got 8 years worth of data on 3 tabs. And then we
only have 3 to 5. Like you have 20 tabs. That's sorry, Vija. On you. But it's not like you're like we talked about earlier. You don't have to overtrack. Start with 3, but it doesn't take too much time to just do 5, and that's all every week.
That's it. And I love it because numbers don't lie. They just don't. They are not emotional. They don't lie. And the other part that they do is numbers tell a story. And so when you look at what's happening in the world and you look at how the numbers are impacted, there's a story there. And that story allows you to help your client. It allows you to educate them in a loving way where it's not, I'm telling you, you need to hit the market right now. It's the numbers are saying this. And my job is to help you interpret it, right? Talk about like, I pay my attorney to help me with law and contracts, right? They're paying us to help them interpret the market and the data for how they make the most money or save the most money or make the best investment. That's it, right? That's what matters.
Yeah. Yeah. Really, really good. Well, we are going to get everybody that spreadsheet so you don't have to recreate the wheel. Like I said, just email us. I've thrown it in chat. It's powerplaybooks@place.com if you're watching this on YouTube. Any last thoughts, Seychelle, before we wrap that that's coming into your head that you want to tell everybody on this?
The reason why I started doing this was in 2007, I had just gotten into real estate, and I had gone to college with a guy that was in my advertising program named Ben Nguyen. And he became a financial advisor. He was the best media planner with budgets in our entire program. So when he became a financial planner, I was like, you're really smart. I like you. You can have my 2 pennies. And please just take care of them and don't lose them. I had no money to my name, but I was like, you're great. And someday I will have more money for you to help invest, but let's start with this. And in 2007, we had started investing some and put some in there. And he called me in June and he said, hey, Say, this is a really weird call. Can I just shoot straight with you? And I was like, yeah, this is really weird. What's going on? He's like, well, we're watching the stock market and it's really frothy right now. And I was like, what does frothy mean? Like, are we talking lattes? Is it bubblicious? I don't know what you mean by that. And he goes,
yes,
it's like, and he was like, yeah, it's like unpredictable. It's bubbly. It's like creating all sorts of unpredictability. And this is in June. And he said, I am moving my personal investments to all cash. And I know this sounds weird to you because I get paid to sell stock, right? And invest. He said, but I am moving my money to all cash, and I can't move my money and not call you and tell you what I'm doing. And then you do what you want. And he called, and I'm on the phone with him and I'm like, well, you do this every day and you get paid to do this. And if you're moving your money to all cash, I want to move my money to cash too. So I moved to cash with him. Okay, this is in June. What happened in October? Right? The stock market fell out.
Yeah, it fell. Yeah.
We were in all cash because of it, right? But did my grandfather, who had 100% of his wealth right in the stock market, get called? No. Did my parents with another brokerage get called? No. I bet a lot of people were seeing trends, but not picking up the phone and calling their clients. Do you think I will be loyal to Ben Nguyen until the day I die with our stock? Probably. Because every time he has seen a major something like that, he picks up the phone and he calls to let me know, and then I can make the decision with what I want to do with it. What do you think that does with loyalty? Right? That's what tracking these numbers allows you to do for your database and your clients.
Really good.
And it will generate loyalty for your people, for you, for life, because you chose to pick up the phone and call. And that's what these numbers can do for you.
I can't think of a better way to wrap, because this is such a long game, and that is a perfect example of that. Seychelle, thank you on behalf of everybody listening and watching, and myself and Sarita. Thank you for taking your valuable time away to show us all this. It's always so valuable. And everybody will be here back on the 3rd Wednesday. Sarita, who do we have? I don't remember.
Let me look. Sorry.
Well, we'll be here. It doesn't matter. We'll email. If you registered, we'll email you. We're going to be back here in 2 weeks. So put us on your recurring calendar, the 1st and 3rd Wednesday at 12 Pacific, 3 Eastern. And we will see you soon. Bye, everybody.
Y'all are amazing. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Thanks, Seychelle.